Hey guys, well this could be my first video of 2016, and so I thought why don't I do this underrated video. I mean, because my first video of 2015 was a underrated horror movies video, but this one's gonna be a little different because I've already done 3 underrated horror movies videos, so this one's gonna be a little different because those ones were just horror movies in general, while this one's just gonna be focusing on horror movie sequels. And I'm going to also say that this was a pretty difficult one to choose because in my 3 underrated horror movies, like a bunch of those movies were sequels, so I kind of wanted to not include the movies that were on those ones. So like movies like Fright Night Part 2, Cabin Fever 2, The Rage Carrie 2, those are examples of movies that were on those other videos, so you won't see them on this video. So you could probably consider this to be like a spin-off to my underrated horror movies video. And also want to point out that in those 3 other ones, it was like 15. This one's only going to have 13 because, like I said, I'm not including the movies I listed in those other ones. And also because I just kind of didn't want to do like a 15 movie like themed for like all of my movies, because I've done 15 of my favorite horror movies, 15 of my favorite remakes, 15 underrated horror movies, and even the best horror movies of 2013 list I did was 15. So I didn't want to do a 15 theme. So that being said, guess maybe I should just get started then. Alright, here we go. 15 underrated horror sequels. Alright, one I've chose. This is a new movie, and it was one I mentioned on my best horror movies of 2015. And that is Sinister 2. Now this one I saw, and I noticed it was getting bad reviews. My apologies. It was getting bad reviews, but I was still seeing it nonetheless because I really liked the first Sinister movie. So I went in this movie with some low expectations because of the bad reviews. So I was going to be open to not liking it, but also open to liking it. So I went to it with low expectations, and I actually liked this movie. I wasn't really getting what was all the hate about. It wasn't as scary as the first movie. I'll say that. Because in the first movie, I guess because you just don't know much about Bughuul in the first movie, so it made it more scary. But this one goes more into how the children become Bughuul's slaves. So it explains more, so it kind of takes away that. So I guess maybe that was probably the reason why. But I like that whole idea though of showing how the kids become the servants of Bughuul. And I also liked the atmosphere. I liked also the films that we saw that the kids made were also pretty creepy looking. So overall, I did like this movie. Now here's a movie that I originally hated. When I first saw this movie, I think maybe I was about 14, 15 maybe. And so I saw this movie on TV originally and hated it. And I'm sure even a lot of people hated this movie. I mean, I know some people who hated this movie originally, but as time went on, it grew on them, so they liked it, just like me. But I also do know some people who still hate this movie, and it's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So this is a movie that I hated, but in recent years I've grown to like this movie, so I actually do like this movie. I consider this to be underrated. It didn't get the love it deserved when it first came out, because people just didn't like it because there was no Michael Myers in it. So people just weren't open to something new. But I kind of think that maybe if it came out today, people would probably accept it for what it is, because gained such a big cult following since its release. Like, this movie was original. Like, the first movie, when you really think about it, it was just like, a movie about a guy in a mask that goes around stabbing people. So that's been done before. Like, there's been killers before the first Halloween movie. There's been slashers before that movie. But this one was not a slasher movie like the other Halloween movies are. So this was something that was different. And it was also something that explored the Halloween season. Because when you really think about it, the first Halloween movie didn't even do that, despite its title. And despite being set on Halloween, it didn't explore the season. This one did, though. I mean, I'm going to just say, though, that they should not have shown the, like, this commercial for the first Halloween movie on the TV, because then it kind of, like, makes it look like it's trying to be part of the series when it's trying to be a standalone movie. So there's something negative I'll say about it. Other than that, I mean, like, I really liked Tom Atkins in this movie. He did a pretty good performance. I liked this whole idea that this evil corporation's making these masks to kill kids, because it's like this sacrificial events that they were doing on Halloween. So it was a pretty good idea, pretty good movie. Very underrated movie here. And I'm going to also include another Halloween movie, because, like, since that one was bashed because there was no Michael Myers in it, but this one has Michael Myers in it, but gets bashed, though. And that, of course, is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I mean, unlike the third movie, which I hated originally, but learned to like, this one, of course, I did like, probably because of the fact there was Michael Myers in it, but I'm going to say, though, that when I look back at it, it's not as good as I remember it. Like, a lot of people didn't like the way Dr. Loomis was portrayed in this one, how he was angry, how he was always shouting. It didn't really bother me, to be honest, because, like, when you really think about it, it's like what was going on in this movie, it would make sense that Dr. Loomis is an angry guy at this time now. Like, he's just had enough of it now. He's like, wants to find Michael. And like, since Michael's niece Jamie has a psychic connection to him, so she's protecting him. So, like, he's like, trying to make her speak, trying to, like, find him. So he's trying to end it all. So it actually makes sense that he's an angry man at this point now. Another thing I liked in this one was Michael's mask. I liked in this one. It was better, an improvement over the mask in the fourth movie, because that's my least favorite mask. Even though my Halloween 4 was better than this one. And even though that Dr. Loomis was portrayed differently, Donald Pleasence actually did a pretty good performance. And so did Danielle Harris. She did a pretty good performance. And Don Shanks did a pretty good performance as Michael Myers. I mean, this wasn't the best in the series. It was better than the one that followed, the Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. It was better than that one, at least. And it was also way better than Halloween Resurrection. That one was terrible. It was the worst in the series. So for what this one is worth, it's watchable. I still sometimes pop it in from time to time just to watch it. And it's like, it's one you can still pop in for the Halloween time. Same cannot be said for, like, Halloween 6, though. I'd rather not pop that one in anytime soon. And here's another one that I originally hated, but learned to like. And it's Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I mean, I originally did not like this one because of the fact that I did not like that the guy that killed people in this one was not Jason. It was an imposter Jason. But I've learned to accept that, because when you really think about it, the fourth movie was originally supposed to just end the series right there. And it was just killing off Jason at that point on. And so it was like trying to, like, do something different here. Like, so now that Jason's dead, he can't really be the killer anymore. So it's, and hence the title, A New Beginning. So it's basically, continuing something that the fourth movie promised. So, like, Jason's now dead, so now we need to get this new killer. And I do like that it makes it look like that Tommy is the killer. But of course, like, I'm not going to say who the imposter Jason is, just for people who didn't see this movie. But it's like, but it's definitely something that you wouldn't expect, though. You wouldn't see coming. Like, this guy, like, who you don't really remember is actually the killer. And also, like, this guy actually had a lot of kills in this one. Some of them were not really that original, but some of them were, though. So there were ones that were pretty creative, ones that were just ones that you just stab people in the stomach and that's it. But there were ones that were pretty good, like he put a street flare on this guy's mouth. He crushed this guy's head with a leather strap. He put these hedge clippers in a girl's eyes. Yeah, so it's like, they were pretty creative. And like, he actually had more kills than Jason had in like the previous movies when you really think about it. Because like, I mean, although that kind of like, there's like, a little bit of a flaw in that, him having like, a lot of kills is like, is that they just like, kept throwing all these characters in the movie that didn't really have much screen time, didn't really get any development. They just were thrown in there just to die. So, I'll say that for a flaw. But I did like the hockey mask in this one, though. Like, instead of these red arrow things on the sides, it was blue. So, I liked that whole thing. And another one, you can also say I originally hated but learned to like, is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. So, like, this one was actually a very underrated movie. I mean, like, people just didn't really like this one because Freddy's barely in it. They also didn't like that Freddy was manipulating this boy into killing people. But it is actually not a bad story when I really think about it. I mean, like, it's like, something that's kind of original, like, because Freddy didn't do it in the first movie, and he didn't do it in the later movies either. And also, Freddy had the most kills in this one, because, like, he, I think it had to do with the fact that, like, he was terrorizing this party, so that actually gave him a lot of kills. And this is also, like, one of the only ones to take itself seriously, because, like, after this one, it started to, like, become comedic. Like, the third movie, while it was, of course, still serious, but it had some comedy thrown in it. The fourth movie was kind of a mix between horror and comedy, kind of like a balance. And the fifth movie was the opposite of the third movie. It was more of a comedy than it was horror, so while there was times it was a little serious, but it was comedy. And the sixth movie did not take itself serious at all. It was just an all-out comedy with that one. Although the seventh one was a serious movie, but that one was a standalone movie. It wasn't actually part of the series. But that one was still good, though. And another one I think is very underrated is Scream 3. I mean, this one is considered to be the worst in the series, which I'm going to say, yes, it is the worst in the series, but it's not a bad movie, though. I mean, it's still kept up with, like, some of the traditions, like being, like, self-aware horror comedy, and it's still reunited Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox. So they all were pretty good in this movie, and, like, I also liked how it went back to the events of the first movie, like, went deeper into Sydney's mother's death. So, like, we got more of backstory on that whole thing. So, this one, of course, is watchable. It's a watchable movie. It's, like I said, though, it's the worst in the series, but it's far from a bad movie. It's still a good movie, still one I enjoy watching. And here's another one that I've really enjoyed. Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. And it's an interesting thing because Angus Scrimm, the actor who played the Tall Man, recently passed away. May he rest in peace. This was a good entry to the Phantasm series. I did like the first and second one more, but this was better than at least the fourth movie, because that one I didn't really care for that much. And I really look forward to the fifth movie when that comes out. I hope it comes out very soon. I mean, I'm hearing things that it's coming out this year for sure, but I mean, they said it was going to come out in 2015, but it didn't, so I was a little disappointed about that. But, I mean, they're really guaranteeing this time that it's coming out. So, I'm looking forward to that. So, like, I liked how this one, like, it picks up where the second one ended. It continues the hunt for the tall man. And, like, I also liked how they got the original actor who played Mike from the first movie back. So he was back, as the actor in the second one was not him, it was a different actor. But, like, also Reggie Bannister also came back. He still was good in this. So, like, and also Angus Scrimm came back. He was good, as always, as the Tall Man. And I think he's going to be good in the fifth movie, too. His last final time as the Tall Man. So, this was a good entry to the series. And here's another one. This movie was a little cheesy, but it was, like, still a fun movie. It's Amityville 3D. Now, I didn't watch this movie in 3D, of course, because they didn't have this DVD in 3D, which is kind of dumb because they put 3D on the title over here, so why not just call it Amityville 3 for the DVD release, or maybe just release it in the anaglyphic 3D, the red and blue 3D glasses, despite that gives people a headache, including myself. Although it came out on Blu-ray in 3D, which I own. I've yet to watch it on in 3D though. Like, this one was a little different from the first two movies. Like, it was, there was times it was a little funny, but there's times though it was serious though. And, like, it's not really connected to the first two movies. Like, this one's about this guy who moves into the Amityville house, doesn't believe it's haunted. But little does he know, it is. And I just really liked also the climax of this movie, all these paranormal investigators with all the camera equipment. But then, like, the house goes, like, crazy and then explodes. Like, that whole thing was really cool. And here's also a very fun movie. And it's House 2, the second story. Like, I still remember my friend telling me that this movie was horrible, but when I watched it, I was like saying, this wasn't horrible. It was actually very fun. I mean, I get, like, it was a different tone from the first movie because, while the first movie had some comedy in it, but it was mostly serious, though. This one was just more comedy than it was serious. I mean, I really liked all the times where they're, like, going through the house and there's things like a temple or, like, dinosaur times. And, like, it was just a movie that really made me laugh. It was a very fun movie. I recommend it. I mean, I did see the House 3 and 4 movies. Weren't really a fan of those ones. This one was better. It was because it was just fun. And here's another one. The Exorcist 3. I was not a fan of Exorcist 2. Because I just really did not like the story in that one. While it had some ups to it, like Linda Blair was good in it. And I liked how they went back to the room where the exorcism was in the first movie. I liked that whole thing. But the first one was just flawed, though. I mean, this one was, it's got its flaws too, but it's better than the second one at least. I mean, like, because there's times that this movie's a little boring, times some scenes dragged. But I really liked how we find out that that, like, Father Karras from the first movie, like, because, like, remember he told the devil just to, like, take him, so the devil possessed him, and then then he jumped out the window to kill himself just to fight back. So we find out he actually survived that fall, and he's in a coma, and he's still possessed though, but not with the devil. He's possessed with a different demon. Like, the devil came out of him, but the devil, like, put a different demon in him. And, like, so there's times where, like, Father Karras is played by the actor from the first movie. I forgot his name though. Probably this George C. Scott guy. Probably I think it's him. Yeah, I think that's him. So, but he's also at times played by Brad Dourif because the demon that's possessed him changes him to the character that Brad Dourif is, who is this serial killer. And I also really liked the atmosphere, and also there was this one scene that had the Exorcist music, so they brought that music back because the second movie didn't have that. I have yet to watch the prequels though, so I gotta watch those one day. And here's another one, Omen 3: The Final Conflict. So this was like the last good or decent Omen movie. I was not a fan of the fourth movie, and I really hated the remake. This wasn't as good as the first or the second movie, but I really liked Sam Neill was in this movie. He plays this adult version of Damien, and he's basically has ordered his disciples to kill these babies, and there's excuse me, there's the second coming of Christ coming as well, and so and kind of all I really gotta say. I mean, Sam Neill was pretty good in this movie. He wasn't really scary though, and it's probably maybe it's because maybe Damien was just more scary when he was a kid than he is an adult. But overall, this one's watchable. It's a pretty good addition to the series. And here's one that's I don't think really people know really even exists, because I guess maybe because the first one was such a classic, and it's Pet Sematary 2. It's this wasn't as good as the first movie. I mean, the first movie is a classic, and it's not as creepy, not as gory as the first movie. And this one starred Edward Furlong, who played John Connor in Terminator 2. Basically about him and his dad move into the town that the first movie was set in, and then he makes friends with this kid who he just meets in the town he moves in, and the kid's abusive stepfather kills his dog, so they bury him out in of course the cemetery where the first movie was, and so the dog comes back all evil, and so they do the same thing to other characters in this one. They all come back as zombies. I mean, Clancy Brown was pretty good in this movie. Edward Furlong himself was pretty good as well. I actually remember when I did this review for this movie he was in called Brain Scan, I had mentioned that he was good in that movie, and it's I feel people forgot about it, but he was good in this movie too. And I think maybe it's because he just had such a phenomenal career with Terminator 2, so people just forgot about other movies he was in. But you should see this movie too. He was good. Of course, not gonna say that he gave his best performance like he did in Terminator 2, because that movie was just amazing. But this movie, still is worth watching though. And this one's a pretty popular movie. You're probably gonna say, well, you have this movie on it, but I'm putting this movie on there because it's got a pretty low rating on Rotten Tomato. I think it's got a 30 on Rotten Tomato, somewhere in the 30s. So it's got a pretty low rating on Rotten Tomato, and I feel it doesn't get as much love as the first movie. It's Creepshow 2. Well, of course, it's not as good as the first movie, but it's still, of course, memorable, and it's better than Creepshow 3, of course. Creepshow 3. I mean, I really like, of course, the second segment in this movie, which was this blob in this lake that these teenagers are swimming in. And I also like the hitchhiker segments, that "thanks for the ride, lady." Well, of course, it wasn't as good as the second segment of the blob. And this was written by George A. Romero. It wasn't directed by him, though. I'm guessing maybe he just didn't have any interest in directing the this movie. So he probably just said, I'll write the second one, but I just won't direct it though. I'm gonna say though that's like one downfall is like since the first movie was 2 hours long, this one's only an hour and a half, and the first movie had like probably about maybe 5 segments. This one only has three, but it's like it's still a memorable movie. So it's not a movie that's just that you can like just easily forget. It's I remember this movie, and I'm sure even people that saw this movie remember it too. So while not being as good as the first movie, it's still a movie that's worth seeing, and it's still a good addition to the Creep Show series. Alright, and that's about it for this one. If you think that I've missed any, so just leave me a comment down in the comment box down there. Just like, tell me that what you think are some underrated horror sequels that I may have missed. And I guess I'll just see you guys later. Bye.